All right, let's get into it. So today I'm going to talk about crossing your feet. This seems to be a very controversial thing in shooting for whatever reason, but I'm going to kind of hopefully be able to prove it to you in just this one simple video how it's not controversial. It absolutely affects the gun, and it does affect your accuracy. So one of the reasons I talk so much about footwork is because I don't really care what your footwork does. I care what your footwork and your body movement does to the gun when you're trying to shoot. So hopefully this video proves to you exactly what I'm talking about. And when you go back and start watching your own videos, you'll see what I'm talking about. You are going to have to cross your feet eventually in this sport. There absolutely is. It's going to happen. What you want to do or try to do is eliminate it by stage planning it out or keeping the targets in front of you as much as possible. As soon as you get even or behind a position or the target, you're going to end up running into issues with your accuracy. You're going to start yanking yourself off the target. On this first video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the first section of this and show you what I'm talking about. Here we go.
It's probably the hardest.
All right, so let's break it down. I'm going to cut this up and kind of go towards the front here a little bit so you don't have to see, we don't need to see the first part of it, but I'm going to show you now exactly what I'm talking about. So Alberto and I are just a little bit off timing-wise. I'm a little bit faster than he is off the draw to the entry, and I cleaned up that steel. Obviously, I'm shooting a rifle, so hopefully it'd be a little bit faster. A good comparison here, though, is he's shooting open, so he's similar to my speed. We're not talking about a huge difference in a production gun or something like that, but... So the biggest thing you're going to see here in these two positions are going to be the way we set this position up that's different. And I'm actually going to go to first person here so you can kind of see exactly what I'm talking about. So here in first person, you're going to see, he's a little bit later on the targets than I am. So I'll have to bring that background just in a second here. But if you watch the rifle side, the right-hand side, which is obviously me, you're going to see that I am late visually to the target. So like right now I'm shooting with the gun and the eyes together. So the goal here was to shoot this piece of steel and get on it first so that I could exit on the steel, use the paper to set myself up so I wasn't actually moving on the activator. So I'm going to fast forward this just a little bit so you can kind of see this array. So now you can see there's a piece of steel on the right side. There's a swinger here in the middle of this steel and this paper. So this paper and steel on the left was critical on how you got here. So in other words, if you move too far on the right-hand side, shooting all this on the move, this far left steel and this paper would disappear. So it was very critical to have a great entry on these three targets, the steel, paper, steel on the right-hand side. Obviously, I missed that because my vision was late. So one of my failures on this stage was because I didn't execute the vision part to the first piece of steel. All right, now let's go back to Alberto's beginning here. So Alberto moves his vision way better than I did. So if you're watching the left-hand side here, you can see in the corner, the gun stays way left, which means his head moved way before mine did, obviously. Now he's already on the steel. So he executes, even though he over transitions this, he executes the steel perfectly. The problem is he doesn't move on this paper. So he's not using this paper to move over to get himself set up for the steel activator, which is key because you don't really want to move on this steel activator if possible, because you're going to be late on the swinger. So I'll show you what I mean. So now he shoots the paper, and here's where the miss happens. So this is one of the things that's really great about this specific video setup is if you watch, we both miss exactly at the same time. Now here's where I'm going to prove to you that it's the footwork. Look at my footwork and look at his footwork. We're both in the middle of a cross and we both equal misses, okay? So if we rewind this just a little bit, and let me go back to first person here. Sorry, this is a little cumbersome sometimes for this stuff. But if you look at what happens here, he's on the steel with his sights. I'm on the steel with my sights, and look what happens. Magically, we have a miss, even though we both had sights on target. Now, how does that happen? Because what happened is I had my sights on target the entire time, and my view isn't as good as his view, obviously, for seeing what I have. But right now, both of us have sights. We both have sights. We're both ready to shoot. We're both being aggressive on the gun. But because of this cross And what you can't see in this video is, well, maybe you can on Alberto's side, on the left side here. His hips are facing to the right. So what happens is he's fighting his natural body movement, right? So right now he is pushing his shoulders to the left. His hips are throwing him to the right. So now he is forcefully having to aim instead of just walking in on the target, obviously pointing straight at it. If you're facing the target straight, the gun's going to usually shoot straight. But as soon as you start turning your hips one way or the other, which is where crossing your feet really makes it to where it's almost impossible to stay square to the target, because your body wants to go to the right while your upper body or your lower body wants to go to the right, and your upper body is forced left. And that's coming from you crossing your feet. Now, here's another big thing. And this is where the miss comes from. Watch the impact on both of our feet, especially Alberto's, because you can really see it on his side, the left side here. So he's right above the right above the ground like he needs to be. Nice smaller step, and then bam! As soon as he lands, that impact is what throws the gun. And look at his miss, bottom and to the right, which is the way he's going, and it's throwing the gun off the target. Now, if I go back to third person here, you're going to really see it. Look at both of our impacts. His is low and to the right. Mine is high and to the right, because watch the rifle bounce here. I see the gun bounce on the right. I see it bounce, and then I try to make a correction, and I have a miss. Look at the gun. I missed way to the right, and then I try to yank it back down to the left to hit the steel. You can kind of see it bounce way down left, because I try to make the correction in the middle of shooting and then have to bring it back and then shoot it again. So as you can tell, Alberto and I both hit the steel exactly at the same time. Now, here's the difference. Again, because I'm crossing my feet less than he was, I don't have a big cross step like he does. Like his is a giant, massive step coming out of that position. The other thing about him is he's out of position here because he didn't use the paper like I did, or because I was set up more in the middle than he was when he got here. Watch what happens when he actually hits the steel. Now he has a second cross step where he's crossing his feet. He's crossing his feet a second time. Look what's already available, and he's not settled yet. So he shoots the steel, giant cross step right here. I'm going to go back to his view again. I want you to see this. Look at the cross step that he has right here. So now he has to settle again for the second time. He has to basically get the gun to stop bouncing around when he gets to see. You can see the gun kind of bounce around. See how it kind of flops around in a big circle? So now he's not ready for the swinger like I was. So if you go to my video on the right-hand side, watch what happens when I shoot the steel. I'm already settled, and I'm going to show you my footwork. Look, I'm already in my stance. So now all I have to do is just get ready, get the transition there, and I'm already in a shooting stance ready for the swinger. And then I can take a 2-shot, 1-pass on that swinger. That's because my footwork was already set up. The cross step, you don't realize it because the movement is so subtle on the gun that that's actually what is throwing you off the target. Where most people misinterpret what I'm talking about with cross steps or crossing your feet is that they think that I care about the actual footwork. I could give 2 craps about your footwork. I care what it does to the rifle or the pistol, and the rifle, it shows up even more. So if you watch right here on as I come in through this position, you're going to see, watch the gun just moving all over the place on the cross step on the right-hand side. The gun just, that huge bounce right there with the rifle. Okay. It shows up even more in the rifle because your upper body is fighting your lower body. If you look at Alberto's gun on the left-hand side, you're going to see the gun bounce right here on the, look where the drop down on the left side. See how it drops down and then has to be brought back up. So right now, that's what I call the crash. Every time you cross your feet, your gun crashes. It lands and then has to be brought back up. Or you have to be patient and wait for that gun to crash and then come back up and settle. That's the problem where most people don't realize the gun was there the entire time. The miss came from the footwork, had nothing to do with your shooting ability. All right. If you got any questions, hit me up in those comments and I'll see you on the range.